So, Philip, welcome to the first episode of Laughing Over the Blackboard. That's my podcast, and you're most welcome in the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Great pleasure.
So, the whole idea is having fun on the podcast and speaking about your expertise, your experience, and in general, the pharma market. So,
Absolutely. Love to do that. Love to do
yes,
that.
yes. And for the audience, he is Mr. Philippe Tschopp, and I know him since 2009. We have done business together, and he is a pretty well-known figure in pharma industry, and of course for his humorous nature as well. So, people-loving guy. So, welcome again, Philip.
Thank you so much. I still remember when we first met in Mumbai, when I came over first time to visit.
CPHI,
And
CPHI maybe the first time I think we met there at CPHI, Mumbai.
absolutely, and you showed me around the city.
Yes,
We
I
had a good
did.
time together.
Yes, Philip. Let's start from you. Let's start from the beginning. Let's see how like what Philip as a kid was, where he was born, where you studied, etc., etc. Let's start
Oh,
from there.
very nice. Very gladly do so. So, in fact, I was born and raised in Basel or nearby.
Uh-huh.
Went over to Basel. I studied economics or a
Okay.
similar economic way, and then I used to be an accountant.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Okay.
um, Transitioned over to stock brokerage, and in the year 2000, I said, I have to do something different. And then I started to work in the pharmaceutical industry in two companies at the same time. One was in distribution and promotion for medicines in special markets like Africa. But my office was in a in a building where there was some kind of white powder lying around, which turned out to be microcrystalline cellulose. And this is the way I started into the pharmaceutical industry, um, taking care of microcrystalline cellulose business. And then I transformed not only myself, but also the products into what we call microcrystalline cellulose spheres.
Yes.
It's also part where we got to know each other. And since the year 2012, I am heading the business development of Glatt Pharmaceutical Services, a CDMO in complex oral solid dosage forms
That's correct.
here in Germany. And nearby Basel, so I'm still in Basel. So it's a 15 minutes drive from Basel to the place, and we also take care with this of the same business with the site in Ramsey, New Jersey.
Fantastic. It's so amazing that the destiny somehow pulls you over where it wants to lead you. So it's really interesting how you entered in the pharmaceutical market from accounts to pharma.
Yeah, when I talk about this, when we sometimes I talk also at universities with
Yeah,
pharmacy study students. What is their life expectation in the business? Why do they study pharmacy? And then I tell my story, and they go like, "Okay, that's quite a transition." And when I ask, then could you imagine to do something else than to be a pharmacist? And they go like, "Wow, not really thought about it." And yeah, the point is the life drives you where you potentially fit best in
absolutely.
the
I
end.
came with a similar experience when I was also speaking to few students. So they were like, yeah, I don't know why, but in university, especially when you are in pharmaceutical, you can only imagine about pharmaceutical. But it's changing.
Exactly.
It's changing now with this technology and all. People are open to explore new arenas in the career-wise. Interesting.
Absolutely. And you have, as a pharmacist, you have so many possibilities, not only in the pharmaceutical industry, but also in other industries. And whenever I talk, I just talked, when was it? Yesterday? No, the day before yesterday with a student. And she told me that most of her alumni are working in pharmacies, and they cannot imagine to do something else than standing in the pharmacy and selling the drugs. And then we talked a little bit about the possibilities in this vibrating industry.
Yeah.
And pretty amazing when you think about what this training that you get as a pharmacist, which I was never part of, what you can do with it. So
Yeah, but that's okay. You have done a lot better. I can say that with the pharma industry.
absolutely.
So let's speak about the CDMO space. Can you explain what exactly a CDMO does and what you do, especially in that space?
Gladly do so. So for me, it's the CDMO space. So contract development and manufacturing has, in my opinion, different sides. So we have, in general, we are outsourcing, or it's an outsourcing industry. And we have to divide it a little bit because it's one expression which covers anything from API over liquid, sterile, solids. Its packaging is involved. And then there is, of course, there is a CRO
Yeah.
chiming in. There is the CMO at the end part. And the CDMO is really somewhere in the middle, I would say.
Okay.
So for me, from my perspective, a CDMO is the guys that do the drug product development, bringing it from very small scale, early development, early galenical development, into a scalable formulation and process, and transfer it then to the contract manufacturing, so that the product is not only in the right shape for the designated market and application for the patient, so best technology possible. That should be the driver, that the drug is delivered to in a convenient way for the patient and to the right place where it can be absorbed from the body, but also in the right quality and price, because looking at the industry, the price pressure is there. At the same time, we should have optimal processes, not to lose materials and such. So quite a complex environment. In this field, I would say our organization with Glatt Pharmaceutical Services, we are a pretty niche player. So we are in these, what we like to say, call them complex oral solids. So we talk about multi-particulates. We talk especially about micropellets and pellets with different technologies, covering controlled drug release by functional coatings and such. And then, of course, now popping up more and more, and it's well known that new drugs are less soluble. So we talk about BCS classes 2 and 4. And we have further technology nowadays also more and more we had already to enhance solubility. So it's really like the situation that we do not only target the drug delivery itself, but also solubility. And then, of course, in a way, also patient centricity. So special care groups like pediatrics and geriatrics.
But can I say, Philip, that CDMO space is more in generic, or it's more in new molecule, or it's more like 505(b)(2) opportunities? Where exactly it's more?
For us, really being based in Germany,
Yeah.
and being a small entity, it is absolutely more in new chemical entities, in new drugs, 505(b)(2) applications, yes, much less of generics, but also there, because some of the generics are really complex things, difficult to make, and then even some OTCs. So if you think about some of the OTC drugs, especially painkillers, sometimes they have it with taste masking, and then functional coatings that we apply can come to the game.
So for you, it's more related to formulation and probably less related to API. Like in the sense of manufacturing API, it's less there, but more towards formulation.
Absolutely, but we're currently driving to the field of API. So we, in the sense that we usually do the particle engineering on the excipient API formulation logically. But now we are partnering with a company that is very strong in nano milling, wet ball milling. And we are looking into this chapter how to improve already the API for further downstream processes than in our oral solid, be it granules or tablets.
You have seen the marketing of excipients and now in the CDMO as well. Especially in CDMO, what do you think are the challenges in the marketing in these kind of services?
I think the biggest challenge, good question. You got me there. What is the biggest challenge? I would say it's the trust. So you can do a lot. You can do a lot to do visibility and awareness, that people get to know you, your brand. You build up your name, but then it comes down to what people think about you. Do they trust you? And I always say when I talk about projects, you have to imagine a drug product development, I have to say, is quite some money, right? So it's, first of all, we spend loads of money to develop the API, to find a drug candidate, and then we hand over this highly valued baby that might be for some companies even the future of their company if we talk about startups. And where do I go? To whom I go? Which company I can trust? So for me, it's really trust and the relation business in the end. Price, of course, is always important. That's logical. We want to get best quality at lowest price usually, which sometimes is difficult. Time, capabilities. So it's also the challenge to not only look back what has been done in the past and what has worked in the past, but you have to also to adapt to the actual situation. What is the market demand? Do you have the right setup? Do you have the right setup of equipment, of resources, but also of talents? Talent's a huge issue because although now in Europe, unemployment rates go slightly up in January. That's what I just read this morning, even in Switzerland. But good talents, to get them and to hold them is one of the big, I would say, a big issue. That has nothing to do with marketing, but partially also because if your company has a good reputation, you get better talents. That's logical. So, but in the market, it's really how to differentiate yourself as well. What makes it worth to come to my company versus to go to your company, right? And of course, now with our size, we're a niche player. We're not a multinational. We have 2 sites worldwide, 3 in fact. But then, of course, it's marketing power. In the end, I'm a believer it's a network relationship, being relevant, that in the long term gives the good collaborations.
I have seen this as well, that when you move up the ladder or when your experience increases, you come to realization that the network which you have been able to build in so many years plays a really important role wherever you are in your career. So it's really necessary to work upon it since beginning. Probably nobody is telling this, but it's necessary to do that since beginning of the career.
And another point that I wanted to mention that a lot of people forget, I think it's about also, you said we want to have fun in our chat today, right? And I think it's the same, because if you imagine you are together with a company in a drug product development for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5, whatever, you also want to have people that you can relate to. And it's not only always just pure, business, but it's also sympathy. You start to build up relations, and it has to be some kind of fun. And I speak about myself. If I don't have fun doing what I do, I don't do it as I should. Right? And I think the same is for you.
For everyone, yes. Because you said that sometimes people forget. I just read somewhere that a human mind can only store 1,500 faces. in that as well, only 150 are the one which like really well, good fixes. Other than that are like, okay, I know that person kind. So I just heard that I think some
Absolutely.
podcast.
Absolutely. But that would be a podcast filling topic, I think.
Yes. True. So just like Glatt is also able to supply the product, or they will just manufacture the technology.
No. We do the product supply as well. So we do the
Okay.
development of the drug product, and we do the contract manufacturing. Currently, we don't do packaging, so we collaborate with external partners. But we can supply the commercial product as well.
You mentioned that technology also sets you apart in this CDMO space.
Yeah.
Any particular technology which is hot currently?
I always have the thing, and this is valid for me for all technologies used. Of course, we are very well known for our fluid bed technologies, right? And if you now say, what differentiates you from another company that has a fluid bed? And there I always say, look, you have to always check what you do with it, right? It's a difference if you use a technology on a daily basis
Mhm.
rather than you have it. So if you
Yeah.
look at equipment lists, a lot of people would say, we're equipped with fluid beds. When I look at ourselves, our people, they use it on a daily basis, and they use it small, pilot, and large scale. And then, of course, we have some special technologies, like to make instead of drug layered pellets, we can do micro pellets by direct pelletization, and to get drug loads with very, very spherical particles up to 95% in best
Wow.
case. So these are special technologies, but you also have to master them. So you have to be trained always. So what I would say is, when you do what you do best and you do it all the time, you will have some kind of an advantage. Because we also, within the Glatt Group, we also have now revamped the technology training center, where we really train external people also on the core technology. So it's a whole setup of knowledge sharing, having, and this is also special, the access to the engineers that design the machines to have direct exchange. This makes things much easier.
No, I totally agree with you, Philip, because I've seen this at least in pharmaceutical. You cannot have innovations every year. It's not possible in pharma that you get in the new machines or new technology. And I totally agree. If you master and keep mastering the same probably process, there is a huge potential ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely. And our regulatory environment is so strict,
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
you cannot, until something new. I mean, we discussed about the new novel excipients when we met sometimes,
Yeah.
how we should do some optimization there and here, and couldn't we use this? When you
Yeah.
look at the risk involved and the time involved, I think you have to squeeze out the most of what you have while you do in parallel the innovation, right?
True.
So
Yeah.
because people want to have proof of concept, you have to deliver studies that it really works and holds the road. So yeah, it's simply not as innovative as it could and should be sometimes,
It's
but
slow. It's slow. Yeah. I
it's
agree.
slow. It's still slow. Although we accelerate sometimes. And now, when you look at the last years with the
Mhm.
pandemic, you have
Yeah.
realized that things, if they have to, they can
True.
move
Definitely. I
very
agree.
fast,
Yeah.
and they go against all
All
what
the
we
odds.
knew.
Yes. So
So and
vaccine.
some the vaccine, there were in the mRNA vaccines, there were
Yeah.
two excipients which were by definition novel excipients,
Yeah.
which were run through the system, but it was needed. There was the possibility to collaborate,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have never seen in the pharmaceutical industry this level of collaboration to
Never.
solve issues.
Yeah.
And I thought, perhaps this stays. No, it has not stayed. It's now back to IP protection.
It is
We
back,
do
yes.
all we bake all our own cake,
Yeah,
and this is a pity. In fact, I think this collaborative approach that is most known in all other industries that innovate a lot.
yeah.
This will be something super, but it's part of the game. IP is part of the game, so this
Yeah,
goes against the collaborative models.
I agree. I think they developed this vaccine in 8 months. They did everything in 8 months, I think. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing what
Okay.
they could do.
We have to say the whole technology behind has started many years before. So there was a lot of discussion. Yeah, but this is completely new technology. The basic technology of mRNA was developed, I think, if I'm not wrong, started 65, 70.
Wow.
So quite some years ago, or even
Okay.
later, but it's at least more than 20 years ago that they started to look at this technology, right? So
It came in limelight a few years back.
yeah.
And how do you see this CDMO space going ahead in the future? You think there will be more need of CDMOs, or the pharma industry would do more in-house? Where do you see this shaping future?
I think there is always waves, right?
Yeah,
But in fact, the wave of insourcing again, I have not seen it yet. I think the CDMO, CMO markets will still further grow, because I also see a little bit the focus of especially the multinationals, to keep the focus on the drug itself, the marketing, and getting rid of capacities. At the same time, we also see some movement in the market where suddenly CDMOs get bought, or CMOs get bought, like by Novo Holdings, and then suddenly it starts a little bit another game. This creates opportunities for others, for other CMOs. So I think the market will further, the outsourcing market in general will further grow. I'm not sure yet where it will shift to. I see this, we have this discussion about supply chain and dependence on India and China for APIs, especially, to insource into Europe. So if you look at the geographic shift potentials, yes, there is a wish to do more in Europe again and more in the States. But at the same time, we have this pricing discussion. So similar with sustainability, can we afford it? Yes or no? What is the impact? So we will see, is it wishful thinking, or is it in the end down to the reality, what we are willing to pay, right?
Because I always had this question, especially when Trump started announcing that we want to do more in states, more in states. But everybody knows it's so expensive manufacturing in the US and everything. So how it will be done, I don't know. But yes, as you said, it's a wish list, so time will tell.
I think we will see. I think we will see. I believe still that the high end products will remain for some time still. Then in Europe and the US, there will be loads of supplies from also new upcoming countries in Asia. That's my firm belief. But then we need to see how the markets evolve, how the knowledge, talent is evolving, and just hope that we do it all for the sake of the patients in the end, right?
Absolutely.
To get good products also in local markets from local manufacturing, and this should be the aim, and that we don't forget about some products that are needed all the time, but nobody wants to pay for it. So like, like the antibiotics. So there is a huge wave what should be done there, because this is one of the biggest threats apart from the standard, let's say, standard threats that we have as human beings in medicine. Antibiotic resistance is a big topic. I think it's, in my opinion, it's still underestimated in some ways, but we will see. We will simply see.
So before we move on to the next topic, I have one last question in this CDMO space. What advice you can give to the young professional who want to enter in this CDMO space?
So if somebody wants to set up a new CDMO,
I mean, anybody wants to do career, do a career.
A career, yeah. Got you. In the CDMO space. So if you compare CDMO to, let's say, to a normal pharma company, it's a different thing. We all should be service oriented, right? As a personality, but this is not so much the case in a standard company or in a standard pharma company, potentially. In a CDMO, you always have to think about, how can I serve best the aim? Because why do we exist? Is because we are potentially faster. We are potentially have technologies or knowledge that the company does not have. We have resources that are unavailable at the moment, but we have to be lean, slim. And of course, as doing a service that others could do in-house, you have to be at the, let's say, at the price tag, which is interesting. Okay. So in a mindset is, in my opinion, you're more driven to try to be an entrepreneur in everything that you do, more than in another situation. But that's a general tip. That's a general thinking I have. Everybody should do most out of what you can do. Always search for optimization, keeping the eyes and the horizon open. What can we do better? How do we do things now? What can we do better? And I always only look, of course, I'm more like on the sales side, right, with the customer. But also, if you think about the as an interface, if you're a pharmacist and you're in pharmaceutical development or quality assurance or quality control, it's really, you have to have also joy of being with people, because you encounter people. You're always in touch with a customer.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's a little bit different. It's being also able to be a host, making people feel home, because when you have somebody coming from X 100 kilometers away to our site, you want to make them feel home, because they have potentially the family at home, just become a father or a mother, having a small kid at home, or parents are not in a good state, or whatever. They miss their friends. They're out the first time for a week, can also be. So I think it's all this attitude of love to be around people.
It's very important.
Yeah.
We can move on to the next topic.
Absolutely. Whatever you like.
How's AI in pharma in Europe?
In AI. Sorry. It was the connection. So yeah, I would say AI, especially when it comes to drug development, it's evolving like crazy.
I think
yeah. So in general, modeling algorithm in drug discovery, I think this is a big topic. When we go now to formulation development process, we have more and more tools popping up, also for modeling. I think we are still in the early phase. I think there is still much more that we can do. The point is always I would say they're afraid also,
Okay.
because it might reduce the lab work, right?
It will. Eventually, it will. Yeah.
But in the end, we have to think about what is our aim. What is our aim is to develop a drug product as fast and good as possible at lowest cost, right? And their AI will, in my opinion, help much. You already see it with the screening activities. So, and this will come more and more. Now, saying it's non-complex would be wrong, because otherwise we would have it since 20 years. It's the complexity of a drug product development and manufacturing is quite high, so you have a lot of impact factors. But now, as AI is evolving, I'm sure that this will be captured in a way so that at least in a first step we will come to say, hey, we can do prototyping, and then you make the proof of concept in the lab using much less resources, much less time, and having already a corridor where okay, this should work. So in the end, we have to do the work, but AI will definitely impact how we work. It's already impacting it, but even more.
So personally, do you use ChatGPT and other AI for your personal stuff?
I use it on a daily basis.
Yeah, me too.
Because it really, some people are pro, some against. You have to watch out. It gives you a fast baseline that you can use. Then I'm convinced I did all. I did copy paste, and then I realized, and it's always the same style. So, but if you think about what is the worst part to do when you design a concept, when you do something, is really this bringing together the things. And then you need to train AI. You need to train as we train ourselves. When you talk with your daughter, and she does not talk in the right way, or uses the right words, or writes things wrong, you have to tell her, look, this word is written like this, and she will learn, right? And the same is with AI. You need to train it, but it has very good potential, but also limitations. So now, when we don't talk now about the high-end AI development tools that we use for other things. If we talk about ChatGPT, it takes what there is and it transforms, right? So if it's garbage in, garbage out, and then you still have the obligation, in my opinion, to validate and to correct. And we have to watch out that not everything looks like written by ChatGPT. So, because I was just attending a LinkedIn webinar yesterday, where there was the talk also about how ChatGPT is evolving into social media, and you have a footprint or a fingerprint of these tools, right?
Yes, it is there.
So we have to make sure that it remains authentic. And this is more work. So in the end, you will not spend the work in creating, because the basic creation is done by AI, but then you need much more work doing the design that fits to Anirudh, right? Or to Philippe. So that's my point.
Good. So we have a limitation of time, Philip. We need to
end the
podcast here. But we should do another, because still a lot of topics are still remaining to discuss. So
it will be my pleasure.
Thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
And hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. I miss to see you for some time now.
Yes. Take care for that. Bye-bye.
And you. Bye-bye. Thank you.